Welcome to Master English Podcast. I'm Emma, and I'm super excited about today's episode. Whether you're just starting out or have been practicing English for a while, today's episode is all about making English conversations easy and fun.
And I'm Leo. We know learning English can sometimes feel like a big challenge, but we're here to show you how to speak with confidence, without stress. By the end of today's episode, you'll have simple tricks and tips that will make every conversation easier.
That's right. We've designed this episode with beginners in mind, but even if you're at an intermediate level, you'll find helpful tips and practice that will make you feel more comfortable in real-life situations.
Part 1. Simple ways to sound confident.
Let's start with something really important. Confidence. It's one of the biggest keys to having a successful conversation. The more confident you feel, the easier it will be to speak up and share your ideas.
So, how can you sound more confident when speaking English? First of all, it's okay to make mistakes. Everyone does it. The key is to keep going. When you speak slowly and clearly, people will have an easier time understanding you. And if you don't know a word, just describe what you mean.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to use phrases like, I'm not sure about the word, but it's something like, it's hard to explain, but I mean, it's like when.
These simple phrases will help you keep the conversation going while still sounding confident. Another good tip is to use simple vocabulary. You don't need big words to express yourself.
That's so true. Speak clearly and don't rush. People appreciate it when you take your time. You don't have to speak like a native speaker to sound great. Just be yourself and enjoy the conversation.
Fun phrases to make conversations natural.
Now, let's talk about some fun phrases you can use to make your conversations sound more natural. These are perfect for showing you're engaged and making the conversation flow.
Here are a few of our favorites. That's a good point. I see what you mean. Oh, I never thought about it that way. That's interesting. Tell me more.
These phrases show that you're actively listening and interested in what the other person is saying. They're also great for keeping the conversation going without sounding like you're just waiting for your turn to speak.
Part 2. Keeping the conversation going.
Sometimes the hardest part of a conversation is keeping it going. But don't worry, we've got you covered. There are simple tricks to keep things flowing smoothly.
The first trick is to always ask follow-up questions. For example, how did that happen? What did you do next? Can you explain that a little more?
These questions show the other person you're interested in what they're saying. You're encouraging them to tell more, which means you don't have to worry about running out of things to say.
Another trick is to share something related to the topic. It doesn't have to be a big story, just a small comment or experience. For example, if they're talking about traveling, you could say, "Oh, I've been to a place like that before. That reminds me of a trip I took last year."
That's a great way to make the conversation feel more connected. It's not just about asking questions, but also about sharing your own thoughts in a casual way.
Let's try it. A practice conversation.
All right, now it's your turn. Let's try a practice conversation. I'll be the one asking questions and Leo will answer. I want you to listen carefully and think about how you could answer these questions. So Leo, what's your favorite way to spend a weekend?
I love to go hiking. I try to find new trails to explore, and it's always refreshing to spend time outside.
That sounds amazing. What do you like most about hiking?
I love the peace and quiet. It's a great way to disconnect from everything and just enjoy nature. Plus, the views are always beautiful.
Notice how we used follow-up questions and also shared a little personal experience to keep the conversation going. Now it's your turn to practice.
Part 3. Practicing key phrases for daily situations.
Now, let's go over some key phrases for everyday situations that you'll use all the time in conversations. These are phrases that will make your English sound natural and confident.
Here are some of the most important ones. What's up? How's it going? I've been meaning to ask you. I see what you're saying. That's a great idea.
You can use these phrases with friends, family, or anyone you talk to on a regular basis. They're easy to remember and great for casual conversations.
Also, let's talk about expressions that show excitement or surprise. These are perfect for reacting in a conversation and keeping things fun. No way! That's awesome! You're kidding! Seriously?
Part 4. Role-playing everyday situations.
Time to put everything we've learned into practice. We'll do a couple of role-playing scenarios where we'll show you how to use these phrases and tips.
Hey, Leo, any plans for the weekend?
I'm thinking of going to a local park to relax and maybe read a book. How about you?
That sounds great. I was thinking about going for a walk in the city. Maybe we can meet up?
Yeah, let's do it. That sounds like fun. What time do you want to meet?
In this scenario, we use simple questions and expressions to make the conversation feel easygoing and natural. You can practice this type of conversation with a friend or language partner.
So, Emma, how was your day today?
It was pretty good. I went to a cafe to work for a bit. Then I met up with a friend for lunch.
Sounds nice. What did you have for lunch?
I had a delicious pasta with chicken and some veggies. It was so tasty.
See how the conversation flows naturally? By asking simple questions and sharing a bit about your own day, you can keep the conversation interesting without any pressure.
Part 3. Practice exercise.
Okay, it's time for you to practice. We're going to give you some questions to answer out loud using the phrases we talked about today. 1. What's something new you've learned recently? 2. What's your favorite food and why? 3. If you could visit any country, where would you go?
Remember, the goal is to make your answers natural and relaxed. Use the key phrases, follow-up questions, and sound effects that we've taught you.
Conclusion.
And that's a wrap for today's episode. We hope you enjoyed learning how to speak more confidently and naturally in English.
Thanks for tuning in. Keep practicing these tips, and soon you'll feel confident in any conversation you have.
We'll see you next time with more fun ways to master English. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with your friends.
Now listen to this conversation.
Hey, James, it's been a while. How have you been lately? I feel like we haven't had a proper conversation in weeks. Everything okay on your end?
Hey, Sarah. Yeah, it really has been a while. I've been doing all right. Just super busy with work and trying to catch up on a few personal projects. You know how it is. Sometimes life just moves so fast that you lose track of time. What about you?
I completely understand. It's been pretty much the same for me, teaching during the day and then working on my YouTube videos at night. I'm trying to be more consistent with my uploads, but it's tough when you're tired. Still, it's something I enjoy, so I'm trying to stick with it.
That's impressive. I've seen a couple of your videos actually. They're really well done, especially the ones where you explain everyday English phrases. You have a way of making things sound simple and clear. I think a lot of learners find that helpful. Have you seen much growth in your channel?
Thanks. That means a lot. Yes, a little bit, especially after I started posting shorts regularly. Some of them got a decent number of views, but the main videos are still slow. I'm not giving up though. I think if I keep posting and improving my style, things will get better. It's all part of the process.
You got the right mindset. A lot of creators expect fast results, but the truth is most success comes after months or even years of steady work. Honestly, I respect anyone who keeps going, despite slow growth. Plus, you're creating something that helps people. That's worth a lot.
Exactly. Even if just a few people learn something new from my content, that's a win for me. I also enjoy connecting with students outside the classroom and giving them more ways to practice. Speaking of which, do you remember the podcast idea we talked about a while ago?
Of course. I was just thinking about that the other day. I still think it's a great idea. A podcast where we talk slowly, clearly, and focus on common topics learners actually care about. We could cover things like daily conversations, tips for speaking fluently, or even fun facts in English.
That's what I was thinking too. We could keep each episode around 15 to 20 minutes and maybe have a short quiz at the end. Also, we could include real dialogue practice like we're doing now. Something natural but educational. Learners need to hear how people really speak, not just textbook sentences.
Exactly. And we could take turns explaining things. Like one of us could introduce a topic and the other could give examples or a personal story. That would keep things balanced and interesting. Plus, it gives listeners a chance to hear two different voices and speaking styles.
I love that. Maybe we could start with topics like how to start a conversation in English or useful phrases for daily life. These are things learners actually search for and struggle with. We can also use simple vocabulary so it's easier for beginners to follow along.
Yeah, and we don't even need a fancy studio to begin with, just a quiet room and a decent microphone. We could even record using Zoom or another online tool, then edit it for clarity. I'm happy to help with the technical stuff if you'd like.
That would be amazing. I really appreciate it. Let's make a plan and pick our first topic. I feel excited about this. It feels like something valuable we can build together. And who knows, maybe it could even grow into something big over time.
Absolutely. Let's meet this weekend and brainstorm the first few episodes. Maybe we can write some scripts and even record a short test version. I'm really looking forward to working on this with you. It feels like the start of something really positive.
Same here. I'll write down a few ideas tonight and we can review them together. Let's make this podcast a great resource for English learners all around the world.